Ciao ragazzi! I'm making this video today because I want to talk about how you should not let your diet define you. And what I mean by that is saying things such as, I am pescatarian, I am vegan, I am a carnivore. Don't say these things, and here's why. Personally, from someone who's eaten vegan for 3 years, I feel as though I can vouch and talk about this because this is something I've experienced and it's something that has impacted my life in a dramatic way. So I want to share the knowledge that I've gained from the past 3 or 4 years of playing around with my diet. One huge thing that causes your diet to restrict you is saying stuff like I am vegan or I am pescatarian, all that stuff that I just mentioned. And the reason why it is simply because when you say I am vegan, that doesn't make sense because you're not vegan, you're whoever you are. I'm not vegan, I'm Marco Serafini. Does that make sense? So when you say stuff like that, you create an identity or an ego, and the more you say it and attach yourself to your diet, the more it strengthens and molds. And I can explain this because, or I've dealt with this because, I always hear different sources, but I always think that I am right. Everything that I'm eating and doing is correct, when clearly it wasn't, because the life that I was living exemplified that. I had acne. My digestive system was not as it's supposed to be, and I'm not gonna get into that because I don't think I need to. I mean, most people don't know what healthy digestion is. If you wanted to look into that, go check out Paul Chek, or just Google what should my poop look like, or yeah, you get the point. Now, when you create this ego, this attachment to your diet, instead of saying, I consume a plant-based diet, I consume a Mediterranean diet, I consume a carnivorous diet, any of this stuff, anything, whatever your diet, whatever label you want to put on your diet, when you call yourself this diet and it creates this ego, you create separation from other people. And everyone has a personality on who they are, and we're all different in our own special ways. But the reality of it is that we're all the same in essence. We all go through life with the same emotions, the same survivalistic needs. We need to make it in and day out. We all want to experience love with our family or a partner. All this stuff is what makes us human, and it's absolutely beautiful. But when you start to, define yourself as something deeper than a human, such as defining yourself as a diet, it creates separation between you and someone else that consumes a different diet. And my biggest example of this, what would be a good example of this? My biggest example of this would be if you were to go out with a new set of friends or family, you were to go to their house and they were to make you a family-made meal. And you have old set of friends that you don't see all the time, but when you do, you always eat at their house and just talk about life and how it's been. And you find that the main thing that's preventing you from going to this friend's house is that you don't want to break your diet. You don't want to break who you are. Because if you don't eat a vegan diet consciously while you call yourself vegan, it means that you're, in essence, breaking or opposing who you are instead of what you eat, what you consume. And although they're somewhat the same thing, it's a bigger difference on how you perceive it is I am this and I consume this. How attached you are to that. Because you don't identify with it as much. Now, this is something that I just experienced this summer because, one, I ended veganism and I've switched to more Mediterranean diet because I believe that you and everyone else should eat according to your hereditary needs. Now, it doesn't mean you got to find that out essentially. Just play around with some elimination diets, see what your stomach, what foods you're intolerant to, and what foods you can digest well, go out well, all that stuff. But as I was saying, I experienced this because for 3 years after I went vegan, I wanted to completely avoid going to see my family in Italy because I didn't want to have to deal with trying to explain this to them and the separation it would cause between me and them. Because, you know, in Italy, it's like the food it's more than just food to them. It's kind of it's just the culture, I guess, is the best way to describe it. It's very love oriented where I go in Italy, and I'm sure most of the Italians in general can vouch for this. It's the culture around food is, and just in general, the culture in general is very love oriented, especially with the family. So this prevented me from going to Italy, and as soon as I realized after my dry fast that the calling myself a vegan attached to this ego and has created separation between me and others, that's when I decided it was time to make the change and play around with my diet. And I started eating fish. First time I ate the fish in 3 years, no problem, digested well, and that's because my body's made for it. When I was 5 years old, I ate so much octopus that I got food poisoning. And it's not because I'm intolerant to it, it's because I ate so much at 5 years old. So, at that age, no kid wants to eat seafood, usually. Unless, you know, your body's, I guess, made for it, or your ancestry, you know, just has eaten that for however long, you know. That's what I'm trying to base off, though. That's what I'm going off of. So, since that, I made that connection. I booked a ticket to Italy to see my family. I haven't seen them in 3 years because I went vegan a couple months after I left Italy and starting my whole spiritual / consciousness / woke journey. So, it's been pretty cool. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, you know. Don't let your diet define you. Say you consume or eat a diet. Don't say that you are a diet. Otherwise, it will create an identity with this diet and create, I guess, an ego that doesn't support you in this world. You know, egos aren't bad things. As, you know, they always say, oh, your ego's full of it, you're full of your ego. The reality of it is we all need egos, and it's important to balance an ego that supports us in our day-to-day life. Yep, that's about it. Eat what your ancestors have eaten, hereditary. Eat foods that aren't intolerant to you, which is pretty much the same thing, similar thing, by playing around with some elimination diets and seeing how that goes. So, that's it. I hope you have learned something from today's video. And yeah, that's it. Bye-bye.